Okay, now I've got that rolled up pretty good. So I'm going to hold it. And I'm going to size it because we don't want the arms too long or too short. So I'm going to put it in here. I'm not going to guess about how long I want to make the arms. I'm going to say, oh, probably about this long where my fingers are and where I'm still holding it tight. Now the pieces of floss that we cut already, I'm going to take one and tie off this side of it. And those, you can't really see it, but what I'm tying it with, what I'm using to tie the other end with is my teeth. So I'm putting this end in my mouth and I'm able to pull it tight while I'm still holding it with both hands. And we got that side done. Now this side is a little bit fatter, and I'm going to take our other piece of floss here to double check the wrap of it here. I don't want this piece flapping out, so I'm going to try to wrap it hard like that. We're going to go towards the end. And we'll wrap this side. So now you see how that works. And now we've got arms that we can add to it, like this. And we'll just take and trim off that little extra there. And we'll trim off this little extra. Like so. And it's up to you how you want to cut this. Maybe you can cut it straight across. We want to cut it so that it's going to look uniform, but this one I'm going to cut at an angle. See that? So maybe it gives it more of a look like a hand. I don't know. It's up to you. But sometimes I think every little bit helps. So there we have the arms, and we measured it, so it should be a good size. Now, it used to be that long time ago, there was a girl, and you notice that when we make the corn husk dolls, we don't have faces on them. So I'm going to talk about that story. And you know, one version of the story says there was a girl, a young girl, who was very beautiful, and she lived in those times when she was the type that was a little bit, I don't know how you would say it, maybe she's conceited, you know. She's the type that she's pretty and she knows it, and was kind of maybe a little snotty, you know. Okay, I'm gonna just to be safe, just to secure it more, I'm gonna take a little piece of floss like that. I'm gonna put it down below this way. And tie it. Holding the arms up like that underneath. Now, this beautiful girl, you know, she kind of got a little bit of an attitude. And her attitude was that, you know, people complimented her, and it kind of went to her head. And, you know, she people would actually come from different villages to see this beautiful girl. Okay, I got this little tag piece sticking out. We'll fix that. I'm just gonna take it and snip it. So they'd come and see her and say, oh yeah, she's beautiful. And her mother was having trouble with her because she got to the point where she didn't think she had to do chores. And her mother would ask her to do something or tell her to do something. Oh, go do this or go do that. And she said, I'm too beautiful to go do that. I don't want to do it. And hurt her mother's feelings, and you know, it was not a good way to be. And back in those days, there was a lot that you had to do. There was a lot that had to be done just to survive. And here she wasn't helping out, and it was not a good thing for her family that she got that way. Well, it happened that what I'm doing is I'm getting ready for the next step here. I'm cutting some more dental floss, and I got a couple of more strands of it here. And I'm also taking and I'm cutting some strips about this wide. I'm going to do about 4 to 6 of those, and we'll see how many I need. I might not need them all. But anyways, back in that time, life was hard and everybody had to kind of pull their own weight. And the beautiful girl would go down by the water, and she wouldn't worry about getting water, but she would just go there and look at herself and look at her reflection and being lazy. And while she was there doing that, thinking how beautiful she is, an owl flew close to her and landed close to where she was sitting. And this warned her and says, I've been sent here. And he spoke, which was odd enough, but he spoke to the girl and he told her and warned her that what she was doing is not good, and that our creator gave everybody certain gifts, and that we should use our gifts to help people and not make people feel bad or our gifts that he's given us. And the girl told the oh well, I'll do better. And she tried. She did better and tried to help her family. And the Owa says, you need to do your chores, and you need to listen to your your mother. And she says, oh, I will, I promise. And she did for about a day or two at the most. And then when she a little time passed, and she went right back to her old habit. And the flew by. So there you can see that, how I did that. I made shoulders on that by putting it over and holding it, putting another one over, holding it, and then I tied it. So I got it tied at the waist. Well, this said, okay, well, I warned you. And the beautiful girl says, oh, yeah, you did, okay. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut this end of it. I'll cut a few more. Cut another floss, dental floss. And you know, I think I'm going to trim this one off. Get it out of my way. And the Ottawa went back and he said, I'm here to remind you of your promise that you promised to help your mom and to listen to your mom. I'm going to tie it around like that. And he says, I'm back to remind you of that, what you said. Oh, let's take, so I'm just going to fold one over. And I'm going to make it so that she's got a real full skirt like that. Where's this one? And well, anyways, he says, I'm here to remind you. And she said, okay. And she listened again for about a day. And then she went right back to it, the way she was being, and the way she was neglecting and not listening to her mother. Okay, so now we got a couple of layers on there, and you might think I waste a lot of dental floss, but it's better to have a lot to tie it off with. And it makes everything a little bit easier. Now, one last layer we'll put on here. I'm gonna find one that's nice here. And I'm gonna do kind of the same thing that I did with the head. I'm going to take it and I've got to take a dental floss again, and anyways, the Ottawa did his job and he warned her again, and things were good for a short time. And you can guess it. Size that up a little bit. And I'm going to put this as a cover over her dress, over her body, like this. I'm going to put the piece of floss inside again and make myself a little area like that. And I'm going to find which side I think is the best face. I think this side looks good. So I'm going to take it and put it face down. And I'm going to take this part and wrap it around the back. And I'm going to wrap it right around. And take this part and come from this side and wrap it around. I'm going to pull it up a little bit like that. And I think you see where I'm going to go with this. And wrap it around so that when I pull it, I can pull it really tight. Well, anyways, the Ottawa did his job and he warned her again. And she said, okay, I'll be good. And sure enough, she went right back to being snotty and telling her mom, oh, I don't have to, and I'm too beautiful to do that chore. And she went back on her promise, for one thing. And they say that she went back to her old habit of going to the water, and she looked at herself and just would say to herself, oh, I'm so beautiful, you know, and being very conceited like that. Well, she went there and went back that next day, and when she went there, she doing the same thing, and she took a look at her reflection, and she got punished for her being vain and being conceited and not listening to the warning. And when she looked in the water this time, all her beautiful face and her beautiful features were all smooth and plain, like a cornhusk doll. And maybe it's kind of a scary story, but it's one with a strong lesson that we need to be thankful for our gifts and not be mean. And that's a story of why cornhusk dolls, to this day, when we make them, we don't make them with any face. And we teach our kids about that. That that's the way we should be. And that's the way we should live. The way Songwa Janok, the creator, wants us to be and think. So now what I'm going to do is I'm not making her a prisoner or anything, but I'm taking and tying her arms down because they're pretty wet right now, and no matter how I tie them, once they dry, they'll stay in that shape. And so with this, we have Ononya Kaya Da, a cornhusk doll made out of the husk. And again, long time ago, the people used the corn, used every bit of it. So now we see that, and we heard the story of why cornhusk dolls have no faces. Daneho.